All right, we're going to do a quick video here on how to make a nice soldering joint. So what I got here is just a couple pieces of wire and some pins. I'm just going to do a couple different joints here just so we can see how to make them look good. These are just some like gold-plated pins from another project. I got some 14 gauge wire. I believe it's 18. Got one pre-cut here I'll use instead. So we're just going to try and solder these together, and I'll show you guys how it looks and some do's and don'ts. All right, so we got a little bit of solder here. Got my soldering iron on, ready to go. And say, we'll do two different things. Say we want to join this piece of wire to this pin. What we'll do first here is I'll secure this. And this tool here is called a helping hands tool. You can find them a lot of places. DigiKey, even Amazon. If you look around, they'll have these. They'll have different versions. And there's nicer setups. I mean, I've had this for over a decade, so it works. It does the job. So what we want to do first, anytime you want to start a joint, you should always have a nice clean tip. And some people like to use the sponges. I personally prefer the brass sponges. I hope you can see this in this video, but it's a little ball of brass, and it's not abrasive enough to ruin the surface of the tip, the soldering tip, but it will clean off the old flux and maybe any burnt, you know, if you've touched a piece of plastic or something, or any burnt material that's on the tip. And so you can see how right there, just scrubbing it, how clean it looks already. And I haven't even tinned it, right? And you'll know when something's dirty. It'll have the old flux on it. And I can actually show you here how easily the solder joins right to that, or melts right to that tip. And if you have a dirty tip, you'll see right away that solder, when you touch it, it won't do anything, right? Like here. So first, like I said, nice clean tip. And what I always do is take a dab of solder and just melt it to the tip. And that helps the heat transfer between the tip and the piece that you're trying to solder. And I'll show you first, without any tinning or solder on the tip, how much longer it'll take for this to penetrate and get this wire to take any solder. It won't do anything. But if I add a bit of solder and place that solder to the material, how much quicker it took that heat. How fast that was. All right. So now we're going to go to the pin. And almost forgot a step. We're going to do the same thing on the pin itself. Now I'm left-handed, so I'm going to turn this around here to make it easier. And you have to set up your system however it works for you, right? Like I said, I'm left-handed, so I need to have things usually on the opposite side. I can do them both ways, but for ease of this video, to make it look nicer, I'm trying to do it the right way here. So I'm going to add a little bit of solder to the tip. I'm going to take touch it to the material. See how quick it just takes that solder. I'm just going to fill it. And I'll do the same thing with the wire. And I'm going to use my right hand here. And I still have a bit of solder left from that joint I just tried on this gold pin. So you can see how quickly those two have melted together. And a lot of the next part here is you have to wait, right? I could have done that another way and used the helping hands to secure it so I wouldn't have to hold it. But I was trying to do this quickly here. Now I'll just do the same thing. I'm going to take some more solder, pre-melted on the tip, touch it to the piece. You can see how quickly it melts the two. And just let it sit. Patience. When that dries, or I'm sorry, when that cools, it'll look beautiful. And that's perfect. And I hope you guys could see that. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit, give you some more detail. That's a nice, clean joint, ready to use. Now the next one, say we're just doing two pieces of wire. Principle's the same, but again, I just wanted to show another example. So we'll strip some wire, or strip some jacket off the wire. I'll use my helping hands here to hold it together. And I ran out of solder. There we go. Solder is also important, what you use, what kind you use. That's a whole separate video, but again, you buy junk, you're gonna get junk results, so spend some money on some decent solder. All right, so again, we're gonna melt some on the tip, just enough to help the transfer of heat. Touch it to the material and just tin to the end. Now normally I would have a hood or a fume extractor. I don't like soldering without a fume extractor, but for the purposes of the video, it tends to be a little loud and I didn't want to have to talk over a blowing fan, so it's not on. But I would suggest to everyone, get yourself a decent fume extractor. And they can be found at DigiKey, Amazon, same thing, Mauser, Electronics. Okay, so melt some solder to the tip, place it on the piece. I got my hand in a funky position here, so it's kind of shaking. Beautiful. Now, same thing. Again, melt some to the tip. Wait till the two are melted. You can take some solder. Beautiful. And obviously I didn't do that in the prettiest form, but I'm just showing you the steps, right? If this was a joint I was going to leave finished, I would do that much nicer. It'd be closer together, conformed, right? But I'm just trying to show how the process works. And, you know, that's just as strong as a joint that would be laid perfectly perpendicular or parallel with each other. But again, I'm just trying to make it simple so you guys can see the process. And that joint's not going anywhere. So that's it. A couple examples of doing some soldering here and the process, how we do it. Hope that helps everybody. See you on the next one.